So LeBron is going to pick a coach, and there is no question. This has nothing to do with Pelinka. It has nothing to do with Buss and the Lakers ownership. LeBron's going to pick the next head coach. The Redick piece is interesting because I think even LeBron is emotionally aware enough to know that, it's going to ruin a friendship. Because once he has to throw Redick under the bus when things don't go well, it would be fascinating if Redick were actually to take the job. It's not really, you don't have a choice. If LeBron says you're coaching the Lakers, Redick kind of has to do it. But he is his own dude. That would be fascinating.
He's a front runner for the Hornets job. So maybe but the Lakers and Hornets are two totally opposite situations and organizations. You can't hire someone if you're the LA Lakers because you're scared the Hornets are going to be the ones to hire them.
Sharp Money with Patrick Maher. Weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If you think about betting football all year round, the Lombardi Line on VSiN is the perfect show for you. 7 days a week, you can watch and listen to the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. He gives his honest opinions on personnel signings, draft decisions, and every offseason move to help you as a bettor. Catch the show weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern and on weekends at 10 a.m. Eastern. The Lombardi Line, 7 days a week, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If you know your Norse mythology, it's all about Valhalla. I'm Dave Ross here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Yes, the second major of the year is almost upon us, the PGA Championship at Valhalla. And you know who the favorite is. It's Scottie Scheffler, the world number one, has been red hot in majors, coming off a win at Augusta. He is plus 350 to win the second major of the year. How about this for an odds jump? You go from plus 350 to plus 1,200 for Rory McIlroy as the second betting choice here at the PGA. A slow start to the season, but he did win a team event at the Zurich Classic not that long ago. John Rahm, remember him? He's over at Live Golf these days, has not won on the Live Golf Tour. He is 14-1 to come back here and win at the PGA. And then the X-Man, Xander Schauffele, can he break through and win his first? He is 16-1 to do just that.
For more, head to VSiN.com.
God bless football, Billy Gill.
God bless football, Stugotz.
Join us every week. We break down everything going on in the world of football. We get some of the best guests in the country. We do it all with Mike Golick, Chris Sims, a former wrestler, and a former Yankee middle reliever.
And his assistant.
And his assistant, who we're not certain is his assistant. God bless football.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
It's time to kick back and listen to the Sports Page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning Sports Page, Pat Lucia, 330-707-4202. Get in. Talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here, and here is Western Reserve Radio, and it is the Saturday morning Sports Page. A lot to get to today. There will be no teams that are swept in the NBA playoffs. Results from yesterday's games: Indiana Pacers beat the New York Knicks 111-102. That basically makes that a 2-1 series. Knicks are still up 2-1. And last night, for all those people out there that thought the Denver Nuggets were done, think again. Denver went out last night at Minnesota after losing their first 2 games at home. And they pretty much took Minnesota out to the proverbial woodshed. It really wasn't much of a game. Denver was in control of that game pretty much from the tip-off. And that was pretty much it. And Denver ran away and hid. They won by 27 points. Finals 117-90, which now means Denver trails Minnesota 2-1. So the other series that are still out there, previous night, the Cleveland Cavaliers just absolutely, they took Boston out to the woodshed. That's now 1-1. And Oklahoma City lost to Dallas Thursday night. So now that is 1-1. So the way the schedule is going to lay out for us in the NBA, today at 3:30, Oklahoma is at Dallas. Again, series is 1-1. Then tonight at 8 o'clock, both these games are ABC games. So you don't have to worry about streaming or cable or anything crazy. Boston is at Cleveland tonight at 8:30. I'm sure there'll be a lot of folks up there in Cleveland. That place will be definitely sold out, and that'll be a rowdy group. No doubt the Cleveland Cavalier fans are passionate, be loud and noisy, and that ought to be a pretty good game. Now, Boston, the favorite to actually win the NBA title, they played a horrible game Thursday night, and Cleveland just took advantage and took it over, especially in the second half. And then the fourth quarter, Boston emptied the bench with 5 minutes left. They gave up. They were waving the white flag. They just came to the conclusion, we don't have it tonight. But they did that against Miami the prior series. Boston did. They dumped their game 2 at home, but then went on to win the next 3 easily over Miami and won 4-1 in that series. However, I don't think Cleveland is Miami here. Cleveland's a good young team. If Cleveland can get a split at home and make this a 2-2 series, game on, then you've got a legitimate, could be a 7-game series, which a lot of your experts didn't even think Cleveland would get a game in this series.
Yeah, it's true.
They were saying, "Oh, Cleveland, I'll give Cleveland a game." Some guys I've been hearing on the radio, this has sweep written all over it. Maybe Cleveland can get a game, and that's all I'll give them. Well, Cleveland at home. Boston's had problems with Cleveland during the season. This is going to be a very interesting game tonight at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
So if Cleveland can win this game tonight, this could really turn this series upside down. Because all of a sudden now, even though Boston, as you keep hearing there, the odds-on favorite to win, if Boston dumps the game tonight at Cleveland, now all of a sudden Cleveland has a shot at winning this series.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So that is going to be high, theater. Oklahoma City at Dallas is 3:30 today. That, I think, is a crapshoot series. I don't know who's going to win that. That could be up in the air. That could go 7 games, and you could pretty much throw a coin in the air and say, okay, who could win? Because I don't really see a clear favorite in that series. I think that's pretty evenly matched.
Yeah.
So, New York and Indiana then will play on Sunday at 3:30. The Knicks looking to obviously get a split at Indiana. I was surprised. I didn't think the Knicks would have anything left in their tank.
I know.
And they actually had that down again. I thought the Knicks would lose by 10 because injury. Brunson's got the foot. He played anyway. He wasn't 100%, but they played hard and they could have possibly won that game.
Mm-hmm. And then you already had Robinson out.
Right.
And then
Anunoby's out, and he's probably out again with the hamstring.
And I tell you, a guy that played decent, who's been on the bench all year since he got there, is Burks.
Yeah, Alex Burks.
Alex Burks has always been a good veteran. Yep. But to come in and have to play, I know he can score, but he hasn't played. No. So, a lot of times guys rhythm be off, they can't do anything. He performed well enough that he may perform better this next time because he know Anunoby is not playing. He's going to be a main person coming in there. So it's going to be a dogfight, though. The games have been that anyway. Oh, yeah. But the Knicks have really shown me something, though. They really real grit. That's for sure.
One thing with the Knicks, nobody will blow them out. They won't blow anybody out. That's just the way it is. Every Knick game is going to be that. Nail biter, who has the ball last. And so far in these playoffs, they've all been that way. Every playoff games the Knicks have had have been pretty much. The only game that was probably not quite as intense was the third game against Philly. Philly kind of cruised a little bit, but Knicks were hanging around, but didn't make it as close. But every game has been, outside of that one, has been basically who has the ball last. Mm-hmm. They've been nail biters.
Well, there's no doubt about it.
So the Knicks will have the 3:30 game on Sunday. That's an ABC game. And Denver, who I pretty much thought was dead, and so did everybody else until the game last night. Then I looked at that game and figured this looked like the Denver that won the NBA title.
Yeah, I want to see them do it again, though.
Right, but that's the key.
And not only that, though, I seen less intensity out of the Timberwolves last night than those other games. They were so intense. And I mean, it's tough to be like that all the time, but still, they were so intense. I think they got home 2-0, feeling good about themselves. A little relaxed. We're at home cooking. And Denver, veteran team, coming out, the defending champions, they're going to come out and have to show some wear. And I think before they knew it, they got hit in the mouth and they couldn't recover.
No.
And that was it. So I think you're going to see a different. Now, if Denver could win again, that's going to be it. But if Minnesota takes them out, I think it's a done series because Minnesota just shows me. I mean, they go way down the bench and they don't lose any intensity.
Game 4 Sunday. That's the 8:00 game on Sunday night on TNT. That game is realistically going. We talk about it all the time, but that game 4 is really going to dictate where this series is headed. If Denver comes out again and beats Minnesota 2-2, now you almost have to favor Denver because Minnesota has depth, but the youth is starting to show Denver the experience. So that's going to be a play here. But if Denver comes out and gets game 4 and ties the series at 2-2, you almost think Denver has a shot now to recover and win this series. If they lose, their back's really against the wall.
Yeah.
And then they're down 3-1. They go back to Denver. Then Minnesota may lose game 5, but then will win it on their home court game 6. But who knows? Because you just can't predict.
Yeah, I just think that game gave Denver a lot of confidence.
It did.
And now they think they could compete. Because one thing I know is, and I said it before, Dwight Howard made this statement that Denver doesn't like it physical. Well, he showed in the bubble years ago that Jokic don't like it.
No.
Now these guys like physical play. And Minnesota was playing exactly that way those first 2 games. It's so intense, so physical, just wear you out. They don't like it. And I don't know, I'm sure now, we know Coach Malone went to the refs about, hey, too much physical play. They're going to start, so this way they start watching it.
Yep.
And now the guys couldn't play the same way. And that affects the game and your game plan. So if they have that again, where it's the leniency, it can't be too physical, Denver's going to come back and win the series. Because I don't think, long as Minnesota plays the way they were playing with that type of intensity and physicality, there's no way. I don't think Denver could beat them then.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I mean, they were just wearing those guys out.
And Denver doesn't have a bench.
Yeah, they don't have the bench they had before. So when they go to the bench, it's just a done deal. Where Minnesota can go to the bench and it's just like,
they got
lots of guys. So I just want to see, and people don't pay attention to that. We look at the coaching and the players, and we analyze all that. But do you ever hear us talk about, what about the refs and how they're calling the game? And I think you should allow the game to be played more, especially just like NFL football. Don't pull the flag every time. Let these guys play and let them determine the game. Now, something egregious, we get it. But some of the stuff we done seen in some of the Super Bowls, last second stuff that we could, come on, ticky-tack, let that go. Let these guys decide. They're good enough to decide it. So we'll see if they allow that to happen this next game, to get a little bit more physical and see what happens if Minnesota can do that at home. Because they do that at home, and with that home crowd going, it's going to be tough. But like I said, Denver showed their championship mentality.
Denver last night came out with the sense of urgency that they knew they really
they had to win.
They had to win. Nobody in the NBA has ever come back from 3-0. So Denver knew that if they went down 3-0, they were done. Now the question's going to be, game 4 is important because Denver you can't go down 3-1 either because you have no room for error at 3-1. Denver can make it the series if they win game 4. And then if Denver would pull out game 4.
Yeah, it's best of 3 now.
Now it's a best of 3.
And 2 of them is in Denver.
And 2 in Denver. If Cleveland can get a win in Cleveland, they got 2 in Cleveland. If Cleveland can manufacture a win, and they either go up 2-1 or they lose and win, but it's 2-2, then again, now it's a best of 3. I'll tell you one thing with Boston is, I know everybody keeps saying how talented they are, the best team, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But I got news for Boston. I've been saying this all the time. They rely on the 3-point play, and I get it, but they don't have like a plan B. In other words, when the 3 isn't going down, let's either start going underneath. Let's get, if we're not making the 3, let's at least get a couple 2-point, but keep scoring and keep the team moving. Boston gets almost like so infatuated with the 3 and they want to make it. And when they're not making it, they stand around and keep launching up 3s and they don't do anything. Then they get lackadaisical on defense because they're standing around watching to see if they can make their 3. Then it energizes the team they're playing, Cleveland especially. Yeah. I saw it during the regular season. Cleveland came back after being down ungodly points against Boston. It was like 25 points. And then Cleveland came back and won the game.
Yeah.
And Boston had another game against Atlanta, same thing, where they were up 30.
Yep.
And they get thrown up those threes, and they clang in there brick.
It's a bad thing because what happens is they keep let's say the game is close and they throwing up threes. Now they get behind. Now they're forced to shoot threes because they got to get back in the game, and that's where something I watched in this last playoff game. Jason Tatum and Brown, when they get the ball on the perimeter and they make up in their mind, you know what? I'm going to back this guy down. I'm going to the basket. They're almost unstoppable.
Right.
I mean, it's like who's going to guard these guys?
Can't.
Tatum is so long and strong. You can't even guard him. And he gets right into the basket. He either gets fouled or he scores.
Usually, yep.
He's on the line. Brown, the same thing, because he's so strong and he's very elusive. But they don't do it enough. Sometimes they'll pass the ball to a guy that's way outside and let him shoot a three. I don't know why. Because they could be killing teams if they wanted to. If they went inside out on their game, they would be destroying teams. They won't do it.
They won't. And then to make matters worse, and I've seen them do it, Boston gets tight. And when they're not making that three, it's almost like they keep shooting it anyway because they keep thinking, well, it's got to start to go in. It's got to fall. I'm shooting that three, and they get tight.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't go in, and they just keep shooting that three, and they keep clang off the rim. But I'm just saying that it's almost like they trap themselves into just infatuation with the 3-pointer, and all of a sudden, then they don't get down on defense. Then the other team gets energized, and sure enough.
Yep, and I go on what you just said, and I don't want to take nothing away from the Cavs at all because they played great. But they do that. They get infatuated with it. They just keep on shooting it.
And they
beat themselves.
That's it.
But I don't want to take nothing away from because they play great. But they do. They help the other team beat them. They actually assist them. You want to beat us here? I'll assist you and help you beat us by doing dumb things like this, just shooting them, just keep on.
And they just keep launching it.
I mean, launching them too. And people might say, "Well, Golden State used to do that." Golden State's 3-point shooting back in that time when they was winning was prolific. These guys can shoot at that time. Curry and
Thompson.
Yeah, and then and then even Draymond at the time would shoot them, and they had a couple other guys that would come in, even when Poole was there and before Poole, they had guys that would come in and score at will. So they could do it. They could do it because they had like 5-6 different 3-point shooters. So they could do that. Jason Tatum can hit them. Brown can hit them. But they got more to their game. They don't have to do that.
No.
They're too talented to be standing out 30 feet away from the basket.
And launching.
Yeah, these guys can be killing people inside. Horford is not a post-up guy. So I can understand sometimes keeping him on the outside perimeter.
Well, yeah, he's more of a perimeter guy.
And he's a spot-up shooter. Right. It's perfect.
And
and it's perfect for him. He just move around the perimeter, have your guys go inside. You can pass it back out to him. He'll hit it. If he's wide open, he's going to hit most of them. But just Tatum and everybody outside shooting them, no need to do that. Them guys can be going inside out, and they should, but they put themselves in a corner because I'm telling you, Cleveland did not lack confidence. They came in there, they didn't act like they got beat the first game. They act like they won the first game. They came on the court like nothing happened to them. And they came out there, man, was those guys was playing hard. LeVert,
LeVert might have had LeVert, I think, had one of his best games in his career. He's a good, solid player.
Oh, yeah. No.
He played really a great game.
And it always surprises me how he's always included in a trade.
Oh,
People talk about it all the time. Why do you trade Caris?
Always.
Keep that guy as your 6th, 7th guy, whatever. And he's always a guy you could put in as a starter in a pinch.
Yep.
Somebody's in there, put him in. He's going to be fine as a starter.
He's a great, solid ball player.
Yeah. Plays defense, offense, does it all.
He just needs to keep his bags packed because he's always getting traded.
Yeah. And why?
And I don't know either. No.
And I think I mean, I know probably why is the other teams probably say, well, we'll do that trade if you include Levert. Because they know how good the guy is. They want him.
Yeah. Yeah, and
that's the only thing I can see.
I don't know why teams trade him, but they do.
Yeah, I think a lot of times teams that have him, that trade that they're trying to do was get Knicks if he didn't get included in it. I believe these teams asked for him. And that's why, because it makes no sense. No guy that plays that well would be going to so many different teams. He had a great
game against Boston.
Defense. He was
he could shoot. He was making shots. I was watching, and I mean, Cleveland just played. If Cleveland can play like this, this could be a nail biter 7 games.
Yeah,
and I don't rule out Cleveland upsetting Boston if they play that good.
Oh, if they play like
game
that,
2,
they play like that.
Because if Boston gets tight, and I've seen them happen, they get tight and they get really getting fat, and they're not making that 3, and they get like nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland could win this series. Now, I said that a little bit, but Miami just doesn't have any. Miami had without Jimmy Butler, they had no shot.
Yeah,
they just didn't have enough people there to play with ball.
Yeah.
But Cleveland does.
Yeah.
Cleveland can play with Boston and make it a kind of they could make this a series, especially again, if they do get the split. Now, if Cleveland does something totally outrageous, like win 2 games in Cleveland, and they go up 3-1 in this series, you're going to have people running for cover.
Oh, yeah.
Because at Boston's going to be,
it's going to be some heads going to roll. That happen.
Yeah.
You would think the coach, he just got there. You don't think they would get rid of him, but if it's not him, it's going to be some players out the door. It's going to be some kind of because you can't let that happen, but it could.
Yeah, I mean, don't ever rule it out. I think if Cleveland gets a game, this could go 7 games. And Boston was all this is supposed to be at max a 5-game series. Boston could get up into a dogfight with Cleveland 7 games. Who knows?
Yeah.
I still think the Knicks and Indy are probably going to go 7. Unless the Knicks can win, but these games have been so down to
the wire.
To the wire, and the Knicks have the injuries, and again they play so good and hard. They love playing for Tibbs. Burks came off the bench. If he could do that again and give them that kind of performance, maybe they could pull out game 4 in Indy, and then maybe try to close it out game 5 like they did it with Philly. Although I don't know.
I know it's hard. I mean,
it's hard. Indy's a very good team. They don't play very good defense. The Knicks take advantage of that. But Indy can score a lot. And even though their coach is whining about the refs after game 2 in a small market, I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I get tired of it.
I mean, give me a break with this whining about the referees. We're not getting a call. Like Charles Barkley said, you're in the playoffs, you're on the road, you don't get the calls. That's the reality of it. Last night, there were calls the Knicks didn't get either. They had that one they called a block, and it was a charge.
Mm-hmm.
You could go down, and as a rule of thumb, game 2, I didn't see anything crazy. Game 3 last night, there were a couple, but again, the referees were making a call. I get it.
And that's the same thing in the Denver series. Well, go back to the Denver and Lakers. Malone cried about different things, made sure he kept crying about it. And at halftime and different things.
Right.
And then the games was different. Lakers was always up almost double digits every half, almost sometimes.
Well, they got outplayed by the Lakers. They just happened to win, but I know, but you're right.
Yeah, and they whine about it.
They whine.
And they were definitely whining about the Timberwolves. That's why Jamal Murray's throwing heat packs on the court and stuff because he's so frustrated. The guys are playing. This is playoff basketball. Get ready. That's what I remember Shaq said. Quit crying. Quit crying. Just get on in there. He cracks me up. I'm going to tell you, they better not. The TNT lose the NBA package. They got problems. They want to go after the money. They need the inside the NBA and know that show.
Oh, no, they need that show.
That show bringing enough money, just that show.
Right. No, those 4 guys are great theater.
I mean,
Charles, Kenny, Ernie, and then Shaq are basically great. Those guys are just absolutely pure entertainment.
Yeah.
That's just, they're the four, and Charles gets pretty much say anything he wants.
Yeah.
And he's not getting canceled. People say that Charles can say that I can't, but Charles can.
Yeah.
And so they almost vicariously live through Charles Barkley because Charles can pretty much say anything on his mind. Everyone goes, yeah, okay, great, Charles.
And
I could never say that, but you can. That's great.
And it's a perfect setup.
Oh, it is.
You got Ernie, you got Shaq, who always goes against Barkley. It's
Always.
like on purpose.
Always.
It's on purpose.
Right, and Kenny just sits there kind of in between and taking it in. And sometimes I like looking at Kenny's face. Just some of his facial expressions are rich because he's like taking all this in. And he's so funny. Yeah. But I think it's like I said, so the sad part is this. ESPN probably had the best guys calling a game with Van Gundy and Mark Jackson.
Yeah, I like
and
them.
They got rid of them. That was the biggest mistake ESPN did. I loved Van Gundy and Mark Jackson.
Yeah, why? I don't understand why.
I don't know why. I don't know if it was financial money. I don't know what it was. But
they were saying that people were getting tired of those guys.
Oh, those guys are just great.
Yeah, it's like the inside the NBA. Right. When you think of it, but it's on the on-air thing. That's
right. Those two guys, Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, was on Mad Dog Russo this past week. He is unbelievable. He knows the game. He is so great. Mad Dog interviewed him, and what he is just great to listen to. Mark Jackson knows the game. Yeah. They were talking about, some old times when he was with St. John's, taking on Georgetown and Ewing. Just unbelievable to listen to Mark Jackson on the radio. Yeah. Yep. And even Mad Dog said, you need to be somewhere. He needs to be in basketball. They need to be doing the game. Mark Jackson should be involved, and he's kind of not really doing much, which is sad because he's so talented. Right. And I really liked him and Van Gundy in the booth doing the game.
Right.
Because those guys would play off one another, and it really made the game really entertaining to watch, but listen to those two guys.
Right. And they couldn't, in Golden State when he was coaching.
Yeah.
He had so much Pat Riley in him.
Right.
And other guys, he was a tough disciplinarian type of coach. Right. And he didn't play, and he knew the game. And those players of today's players too soft to take that. They can't handle it.
They can't handle that.
So they were really behind him getting ousted.
We've got to get to that because we'll get to that whole coaching situation. I mean, these NBA coaches, Vogel is fired after 1 year.
Yeah.
In Phoenix, 1 year, 4 years left on his contract.
You
got to pay him. Darvin, we talked about Darvin Ham. 2 years get fired. They owe him 2 more years. Mm-hmm. People are. I'll tell you one thing where they're getting criticized. Durant's getting criticized for Vogel getting fired, and LeBron's taking heat for Ham getting fired. And they're the stars, but they're in the background. That's just the way it is. But the NBA, these guys are disposable.
Yeah,
we'll be back after a quick timeout. Saturday Morning Sports Page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Jerry Snodgrass, Executive Director of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. One of my long-standing goals is to help people understand that high school sports are about so much more than wins and losses. The OHSAA promotes education-based athletics, where sports are an extension of the classroom. Our schools all want to win. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it's all about sportsmanship, leadership, and making certain that academics are a priority. Thank you for your support of high school sports in Ohio.
Saturday Morning Sports Page back at you, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. We've come to the conclusion that it smells like pizza in our studio. We haven't figured that out. Why? Order a double cheese from the joint down the street here. 330-707-4202. Saturday Morning Sports Page, quarter number 2. Into the second quarter of the show. Covered some of the NBA playoffs. Let's slide over a little bit to the coaching fiasco. That's how I'm going to put it. I think coaching in the NBA is basically the head coach in the NBA. Talk about keeping his bags packed. Unbelievable. If those who did not know, Frank Vogel, who got the Lakers their only championship recently, 2020 in the bubble, although it was a bubble championship, still championship, even though a lot of people do frown on that. And it's ironic that the LA Dodgers won their and Major League Baseball World Series in the bubble, and the Lakers won their NBA title in a bubble.
Right.
There was no parade for either one.
Right.
So if there's no parade, does that make the title kind of irrelevant?
Yeah.
Yeah. No parade. You got to have a parade to make the NBA or Major League World Series champ relevant. Well, we make fun. Anyway, getting back to the coaching situation. Vogel was canned after 1 year, 4 year left on the deal. So they have to pay him 4 more years. The word is Coach Budenholzer is getting the job, and he's getting a 5-year deal. So he will take over the Suns. The Suns have come out and said they are not going to change the big three. They're keeping Devin Booker because there's rumors are out there Devin Booker is going to get traded to the Knicks, which another rumor. Durant was potentially getting traded to the Knicks. Love all these rumors. It makes our job easy. And then obviously Bradley Beal is still there in Phoenix. So you got Beal, Devin Booker, and Durant. And bottom line is they're not, evidently, according to what we've told, Phoenix Suns are going to roll them out next year, going to roll out the same team that was basically swept away by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round this year.
Right.
The Lakers were lost, even though the Lakers outplayed Denver. They lost 4-1. And Darvin Ham, we talked a little bit last week, he got canned. Now the Lakers are looking for a coach. Coach Budenholzer is the one that just signed the deal with the Phoenix Suns 5 years. So he's out of the picture for the Lakers because his name was being bantered around. Jason Kidd, who's the coach of the Mavericks, that name came out for the Laker job, and Mavericks signed him to an extension. So Jason Kidd is not going anywhere. Coach Budenholzer is taking over in Phoenix, so he's out of the LA job. So the question is, LA will now be looking for a coach. Oh, and Tyronn Lue, his name was bantered. Now,
he's
the LA Clippers
but he could get out of it. They said some kind of way, but
I doubt it. I just don't know. He get an extension. Didn't they? I believe Lue just got an extension. The Clippers just gave him.
Then he can't. It's going. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know how they're going to do it because I believe Tyronn Lue just got an extension.
And boy, would that be uncomfortable just to go from the Clippers to the Lakers. Go right across the across the hall. I don't know.
I think the owner really likes Tyronn Lue.
Yeah. It'd be hard.
Ballmer likes him. He doesn't want him to go. I believe he just gave him an extension and gave him more money. So Tyronn Lue is going to stay the Clipper coach. They just have to figure out how they were going to get Kawhi Leonard on the court. Because Kawhi Leonard, to me, is a great player. But as we've talked on this show, he just never plays.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he's always hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he hurt that knee, and then didn't get. They told him that he wouldn't need surgery, just rest, and then they try to play him, and then you're going to play him heavy minutes because you need him. So then he goes and re-injures it. He got to get something done.
I don't know what it is.
You got to get something done and then just be out for a while,
right?
Because all you're going to do is continue doing the same thing.
He is just inherently always hurt. For whatever reason, it's that knee. He just never plays. I mean, Kevin Lockery basically thought that the Clippers could win the title, providing Kawhi Leonard played. With that roster, he thought that roster of all the NBA rosters, that was the best roster with a healthy Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
They didn't have Kawhi Leonard. They struggled against Mavericks. They lost. They were the 4th seed. They had the home court. Didn't matter. Dallas did away with the Clippers, but their coach is staying there.
Yeah.
So the Lakers are now out looking for a coach. I'll be honest, I wouldn't want that job if, unless you get the 5-year deal with a bunch of money. It's just, to me, for the record, the Lakers are getting their 8th coach in 14 years. When they hire this new coach, that will make the 8th coach in 14 years.
Yeah.
They're coaching. You put the math, they're not lasting 2 years.
Yeah. And
you're not lasting 2 years as a Laker coach.
Yeah. That's not a normal routine of theirs in the past. So
when you look at history of Laker coaches, at least,
I mean, you leave them, keep them around.
They do stay
5 or 6 years. I mean, these guys.
But these guys aren't getting the bench warm.
Yeah, it's definitely a travesty. You keep trying to find someone. I mean, there's so many things they just made mistakes with trying to do. So, I mean, Darvin Ham, did he make some mistakes? Yeah, I seen stuff that he did I didn't get. But then there's a lot of things that was out of his control, like his rotation. He had a nice rotation at the beginning of the season. And once everybody got familiar playing with each other, if people remember, the Lakers got on the roll. They were looking good. That's why they won that in-season tournament. And then injuries hit. And what happened was, it wasn't LeBron and AD, but it was that perimeter
players
that they had. That nice core of players were getting injured, which caused AD and LeBron to play instead of 38 minutes a game. They was playing all 48 sometimes. One or the other was playing the entire game, not even coming out. You can't do that with your star players like that. Then it changes his rotation because he's playing guys that didn't even play. So now, he's having all kind of issues with rotation because guys are in and out of the lineup. I mean, and then that's when you get the bickering. Then you've seen certain situations with LeBron, and I know this happens. They said the one story is when LeBron was in there, Darvin Ham was given the play, and he said, "Okay, guys, nix that. We ain't doing that. We're gonna do this." And he changed the play. LeBron told him, "No, we're not doing that." And they said he snatched the whiteboard and said, "We're doing this." And it was at the end of the game, and they won the play off of what LeBron called.
All right.
Okay, but they said, you just don't see that. So I'm watching something on Inside the NBA, and they took it back to when it was Chicago was playing. And it wasn't Phil Jackson, but even though they showed something with Phil Jackson and Jordan too, but it was
Doug Collins.
And they was doing something, and Jordan said, we're not doing that mess.
No.
changed the whole play and dynamic. Those guys sometimes get the caveat of doing that because of the experience. They're on the court, and most times, in most of the cases, they're the best player that is on the court.
Yep.
So that, they basically let those things go. It's not like it's unprecedented.
No, it's been going on.
That's happened a lot. They said Bird is told
history, right?
I
think that one. Who was the coach that drove Bird crazy? Who was real?
I can't remember who it was. Somebody could take him. Yeah, I mean, guys just don't understand that happens, but you can't keep getting rid of these coaches.
Well, that's the problem you ultimately have in the NBA. In the NFL too, but the turnover with these NBA coaches, these guys are basically literally disposable.
Yeah.
I mean, they get rid of these guys in a heart. Like I said, Vogel got canned after 1 year in Phoenix. Darvin Ham, I thought, did a pretty good job in LA. And he gets canned after 2 years. Now it gets to the point where you get a lot of these players. I mean, a lot of these coaches, they don't want the job. I mean, it's going to be, it's a bad job because that after 1 year, I mean, so I believe one of the analysts said, why don't they just make LeBron player coach and let him coach the team because he is anyway to some extent. Well, LeBron checks himself in and out of games anyway he does that. I mean, this is well documented. LeBron just checks himself in. The coach is, okay, LeBron's going in. That's the way it is. But the point is, I almost say, why don't you let LeBron coach the team? Let him be the player coach. Russell was a player coach in Boston. Well, let roll LeBron out next year as the player coach and see how it works out.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't fire him.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing you could do is say, it's not working. We'll bring in a guy to head coach the team. But the Lakers have been pretty much a semi-train wreck when it comes to coaching. They just go through these coaches left and right.
And they, it's been the thing about bringing in all kind of guys that haven't even coached before now. I mean, never been coaches and stuff, and seeing if they want, he gives them the job. I mean, they're talking about JJ Redick, and I'm not going to say, hey, he wouldn't be a good choice. How do I know? He's never coached though, but do I think he got the a basketball mind? I'm sure he does just from hearing him.
Hey.
But can he coach an NBA team? Who knows? But this is the thing. All the guys like Bud, you said he got that already. 5-year deal in Phoenix.
For Phoenix.
So no way they're bringing back Frank Vogel. So who else are they going to go after that's out there? I mean, it's still some more that's out there lingering around, but sometimes people don't want that job.
Well, they talked about Jason Kidd. Dallas took care of that. Lou's name came up, took care of that. Coach Budenholzer's name came. He's going to Phoenix. He's gone. Probably not going to hire Frank Vogel back.
Yeah, sure. They're not going to do that.
I mean, he was 127 in 98, has an NBA title. Okay, again, in the bubble. But it's an NBA title. Right. So,
and it wasn't like Frank Vogel was terrible because Frank Vogel
did
a good
well coach
at Indiana when they were fighting with the Cavs and everything in those playoff games. Vogel was the coach of those Indiana, and they were tough, physical teams back then. So, I mean, and that's what he had in the Lakers in the bubble. Tough, physical. He always had big guys. His front line was big, and that's the type of game he played, and it was successful. So I don't know. I don't know who you're going to bring in. College coach, maybe. I don't know.
Vogel's a solid coach. He has a winning percentage of .532. He's won 480, lost 422. Has an NBA title with the Lakers. I thought he's always been a pretty solid coach.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're going to get. I thought he was fine with Phoenix. Now Phoenix is going to change the team around the big three. Is that what they're saying? Is they need to
keep them and then just get.
Yeah, they're going to revamp the team. They're in salary cap hell.
Oh yes, they are.
When you look up it in Hoops Hype, which is a great website if you want to check out NBA rumors and salaries and news.
They're going to have to be on there scouting to get guys at minimum if they can get, because you can find some guys that can play, but you're going to have to get the right guys that fit what you want to do.
That's what the Knicks have done.
Yeah, for sure.
The Knicks have been able to go out and find these guys, and they've put Rose, the GM, has done an absolutely outstanding job as the New York Knicks GM.
Yep.
He has done an unbelievable job assembling this team around Thibodeau's style and getting the players that fit his style.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are just, they're over performing their contracts and their talent. And they've just exceeded every expectation. And to get this roster as far as they have is unbelievable. And these guys play hard. Josh Hart is just drive to the rebound, does everything out there. Hard player. Brunson. DiVincenzo had an unbelievable game last night, 35 points in a loss, but he kept them definitely in that game.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I have confidence they can do it.
They can.
They can do it in this game 4.
Yes.
It's coming up. And
if they could,
But they stuck. You know what? This cracks me up, though. Watch these guys. And then I start thinking back to the John Starks and the Oakley teams. And I said, this team is very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, just rugged. Josh Hart is only 6'4".
No, I know he's only 6'4".
He's in there getting
he plays like
15
he's
to 20.
6'10".
Yeah. He thinks he is.
Yeah.
He thinks that's what he is.
Oh, he's just...
Because who goes at that height and the size he is and gets 10, 15, 20 rebounds?
Every game.
And I mean, he's mixing it up all the time with the big guys. He's a guy that I thought the Lakers did an unbelievable job of a young core that they put together. And when they had Julius Randle,
right?
They had Hart, they had Brandon, what's his name? Ingram. All these guys were on the same team. In ball. All on the same team. They were all out there, that young core. And what that could be, and you just maybe add something to that. If you had to add a veteran. I don't know what that might have came to, because that talent was something.
Yeah, they had great talent on that. Yeah.
Oh, and they had Nance too. I forgot. Larry Nance Jr. was a part of that core too.
Yeah, they had who was the other player that they had on that team that was really good too? Kuzma.
Yep.
Kyle Kuzma. They had, that's right. Ingram,
all that.
Kuzma, and Ball. Those 3 guys, and then like you said, Hart, and then they filled in.
Yeah.
That was really a great team. But but they brought LeBron in, and LeBron didn't want the young guys around.
Well, they started getting rid of some of them before that, though.
Yeah, and they did.
Yeah, like Hart and
right. They got rid of Hart early.
And Randall, they were gone.
But then they got rid of Kuzma, who I thought...
That's who they got rid of when they...
They should have kept Kuzma, but LeBron didn't want those guys. I mean, he didn't want the young guys around.
Well, Kuzma stayed with them, right? He won in the bubble. Kuzma won a championship in the bubble. But they got rid of Ingram. Ingram went when LeBron came.
Right. Ingram was gone.
And then that's when they traded Ingram. He was a part of the trade. Because Ingram played one season with LeBron too. Now that I think about it,
yeah, he did.
Then they
got rid of him. And
then they got rid of him.
That didn't make sense.
The first season that LeBron came in, Ingram did play. It was the next year they got rid of him.
And I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know why they got rid of him.
Understand
they brought
why.
in? Who did they bring in? He was a part of something. He had to go to the Pelicans, so I don't know if it was his draft picks, but it was a part of. Oh yeah, he was a part of the Anthony Davis trade.
That's it, Davis trade.
Yeah, that's where Ingram. So I mean, I get that one, but not all that other guys. Too many guys, too much talent, young talent.
Yeah, Kuzma was there till 21, and then he left.
But you got to have the right coach for him too, because Tibbs. Josh Hart is perfect for Tibbs because Josh Hart is a a hard hat guy. So, and Tibbs is so crazy.
Yeah, see, they traded Kuzma to the Washington Wizards as part of a package for Russell Westbrook.
Right. Yep.
Russell Westbrook with the Lakers just was a bad fit.
Yeah.
That was an oil water that probably set him back a year or two because it just was a bad, he's ball centric and he just didn't fit the Laker and LeBron and it was just.
It was a disaster. Period.
It was a disaster and it set the team back a couple years. So again, I don't know. The Lakers just have the team. It looks good on paper, but they can't seem to get it done in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So they basically canned the coach, and now they're looking for obviously a new coach. And again, but you got LeBron there for now. LeBron can opt out and go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. He got his options open this season.
He can leave.
Yeah. He can go places.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't talk about a lot of things. I didn't heard the Miami thing. But Tim Hardaway Sr. came on and said that won't happen. He said because of the rift between him and Riley when he went out the door, he can't see them kiss and make up and come back. He said, I just think they just let bygones be bygones there. Then you did hear something about back in Cleveland in his career there. I don't think that would happen either.
I just don't.
Would they do it? They'll do it if they could, but just to let him be there and there to retire and stay there. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to stay in L.A.
Here's the problem, I think.
Or is it Golden State?
Well, the problem they have with Golden State, the money is really bad. See, they got issues with. There's so many issues with Golden State and money in L.A.
That's why Bob Myers he was one of the better guys at putting the team together and trying to do the financial, but that's why we see him in the studio show right now.
That's why he left early.
Let me get out of here before it falls on me. You know it.
Golden State is in cap hell. The way they've got right now everything structured is the Clippers are kind of in semi-cap hell too, but the team that's really in cap hell is the Phoenix Suns.
Oh yeah,
because you got to pay them, and then they have that thing where, like Golden State was $209 million. They've been over the cap for so many years. Now the penalty is more severe. That owner really has to pay a lot of money in penalties for the cap. I don't know exact numbers. I just read and heard
it's up there.
It's up there. So, bottom line is, the problem you have with LeBron going to Golden State. I don't know how they make the money work. I know the only thing Golden State has going for them this year is Klay Thompson's contract is up.
Yeah.
He's done. Mm-hmm. They were paying him $43 million and this was the last year of the $43 million. He is now an unrestricted free agent. So they're off that contract. That's going to at least reduce. They were paying $209 million this year. Next year it's down to $175. I don't know if they re-sign Klay Thompson and try to get a hometown discount or let him go and let him just be a free agent. I'm sure somebody will sign him. How much they pay him, who knows? But they're on Chris Paul's contract. They got $30 million to pay Chris Paul this upcoming year. So I don't know if they could trade him, work out a buyout, and be done.
Yeah,
or let him go, cut him, buy him out. But I know that would still go against the cap. So they've got Draymond and Andrew Wiggins signed up through 2026. After 2026, Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green can opt out of their contracts. So Andrew Wiggins will be making $28 million in 2025, 26. Draymond makes $25 million. So then they could opt in or opt out the following year. Steph Curry's there through 2025, 26. He makes $59 million. Chris Paul's done after next year. So that's the core of the team pretty much. But they're going to be paying a big, I could look it up to see exactly how much they pay, but I know, been hearing what analysts say, Golden State's in kind of cap jail, sort of to speak, moving forward. So I don't know what will happen with that team. They have to revamp it, figure out. I'm sure I don't know what they do with Klay Thompson, let him go out the door. Sad part is the injuries pretty much derailed what career he had left between I think he had an Achilles tear and he had an ACL.
Yep.
So he's had a fair share of bad injuries, and great shooter, great player in his prime. But the leg injuries have pretty much
in the right situation, he could still. I mean, he could definitely still play in the league,
right?
But you use him in a different way. He can't be the core of what you're trying to put together. But he could still be a big time factor in games because he still can.
When
get on
he's
a roll.
hitting, he can get on a roll.
He's still good,
and he could still do it. It's just a question.
He can fit something that a team wants to do, but. I mean, I just see all the rumors. They had the Kevin Durant and LeBron at Golden State. Once they get together this summer, they'll start talking over stuff and whatever. We'll see what happens if some weird stuff happen after the Olympics here, because it's a possibility.
They always seem to work it out. I just think the way the Lakers are structured here, and looking at their numbers, they're going to be 170. They're at 169 million this year. And there's 178 million next year. LeBron can opt out. LeBron's due 51 million if he opts in. He can opt out and then sign like a 3-year max deal, paying him some number of like 180 million, something in that ballpark for 3 years.
Now, is that standard? Well, no, that's going somewhere else, though, right?
No, he can stay
there and get a max.
Oh yeah, they have. If he stays a year, and then they can sign him to like a supermax for 3 years. He can opt out, and they can sign him to a deal, but it won't be quite the supermax, but it'll be pretty good. But if he stays that year, then he gets that big supermax where he just gets, The problem you have with LeBron, he's going to be 40.
Right.
So the reality is, I know he's still playing pretty good, but you're waiting for, kind of the bottom to fall off here, kind of the fall out of. So you think he's going to decline, and sometimes players at that age decline, and it kind of, like we talk about, it falls off a table.
Yeah.
So you got to debate what you want to do with LeBron. D'Angelo Russell can opt out. He could be a free agent too. So the Lakers could look differently. I don't think they're going after D'Angelo Russell. The other players left on the team are pretty much there as far as the core players. Davis isn't going anywhere. He's there for 4 more years. He can opt out in 27, 28. Davis can. D'Angelo Russell, okay. Hachimura is there for 2 more years. Austin Reeves is there for 2 more years, guaranteed. Gabe Vincent is 2 more years, and Jared Vanderbilt 3 more years. So those guys aren't going anywhere unless they make them part of a trade. But then
that's the only way.
You got to figure out, what do you want to do?
And when you do that, in the NBA, they got to match up.
Match up the money. So it'll be interesting this season to see what LeBron does. I still think he goes nowhere. He'll probably figure out a deal with the Lakers and sign there and stay there. I just don't see it. The Lakers have said they're willing to draft Bronny to bring him aboard.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they want to. I know why they want to do it.
Yeah.
To play, because you got to keep LeBron happy. Right. Yeah. Saturday Morning Sports Page, halftime coming up. Western Reserve Radio.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark, 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here, and here is Western Reserve Radio. Oh, Dave Clark, just when you thought, do you really have anything else to talk about? Charles Barkley laughed at Austin Rivers making the comments about the NFL. Yeah, for those maybe that didn't hear this, this was in the past week. Austin Rivers basically made a comment that basically said that you could take 30 NBA players and they could play in the NFL, but you couldn't get 30 NFL players to play in the NBA. And Charles Barkley was on and laughed about it because he said, those guys, those NBA players, they don't want to get hit. And you played USFL. Right. You played at a high level. Right. Very high level. One eyelash from an NFL. Yeah. And anybody, in my eyes, that plays college is at an elite level. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. But you get out of college and you even play like in a USFL, you're an eyelash from an NFL team, which means you're an eyelash from being at the highest level. Because to me, you get in this argument about who are better athletes, or the NBA guys better athletes, or the NFL guys better athletes. And then you get into the definition of what do you say is an athlete. But getting back to what Austin Rivers said, I think is comical.
I got a comment for Austin Rivers.
And so did James Jones, by the way. Yeah. James Jones, they got it. And you knew this was coming.
Yeah. Man, come on. Talking that.
They got into a quarrel. James Jones, they got into a quarrel, but James Jones just basically said, what did he basically say? In the streets, we would call you a bust homeboy, is what James Jones said about Austin Rivers.
Yeah, it just needs to quit. Maybe go ahead and see if he can get in shape and get back on an NBA team. Because
it's May. Maybe there's not a lot going on. There's the NBA to talk about, but then Austin Rivers drops this little nugget and makes everybody go crazy, which is great, I think.
And I got a couple of little scenarios, Pat, just to tell you, since you asked me.
This is you go ahead and go. I've got my own view on this. I'm going to let you, because you actually played. I played ninth grade football. I know that's ridiculous, but believe me, I never played organized football. I played, but when I played, and this is just me, and that's at the lowest level, right?
Right.
I was shocked with the impact and the hitting, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable!" And that's like ninth grade kids with helmets and pads hitting.
Right.
That's like the lowest level denominator. And I thought to myself, I was shocked and granted, but I'm thinking, okay, now I'm going to let you take it because you played. And these guys now, my Lord, I mean, these guys are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
These NFL players, hit.
It's unbelievable.
It's like,
I don't mean to be laughing. River,
yeah.
If I was in front of him, he'd have me cracking up because I'm gonna tell you something. We used to back in college,
right?
We used to play. Now I'm talking about intramural basketball.
Yeah, basketball.
So our basketball teams we had, the guys would be whining. Now they played basketball,
right?
They'll be whining, saying we're too physical. These guys, they're just hatching us up because we're. No, we just bumping you around.
Right.
They didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
Okay, so that's one scenario. Then I look at me playing high school football, junior college, and then college. When I went to the USFL, in the first practice, we were doing a drill. And then they had a drill where you come across the line, they hit you. Okay, you don't know where they're coming from, but you're going to get hit.
You're going to get hit.
So I got hit. And the first thing that came to my mind was, what in the hell are you doing out here? What was that just hit me? I'm serious. I started thinking about, should I go home and just forget this? And then I seen the images of my dad. You don't quit nothing.
Right.
And you don't come from, you know where you come from. You better not.
Right.
So my whole mentality changed. And then I said, oh, they can hit like that?
Right.
Oh, I can do that. I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to use leverage and I'm going to use my speed.
Right.
Speed is power.
Right.
And so I said, I'll get guys back. And that's what I started doing to change the mentality. There's no way an NBA guy, he's talking about just going to exchange and say, I'm going to go play in the NFL. He'll be done in one day. Because they said at North Carolina that when Michael Jordan, they used to have intramural basketball then too.
Right.
And Lawrence Taylor played. And if you can look it up and find that out and read it. Lawrence Taylor, they said that was the only guy. Jordan would talk trash to everybody. Not the LT. LT ran the court. And he could play. LT could play.
Yeah, I believe that.
They
LT,
said he could play some basketball.
Yeah, he could.
And
I
they
bet
said he was so physical, guys was like getting away from him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then they'll say, Jordan would be bringing down, and LT, I got him. And they said Jordan would, as soon as he would get close to coming inside, he'd pass the ball off. He was not going to be banging up against LT back then. So Austin Rivers is saying an NBA guy can easily go to the NFL and play.
Right. 30 of them.
Yeah, 30 of them.
He said.
But an NFL guy can't come to the NBA.
No, he said you couldn't get 30 NFL guys to NBA.
Only way I can say that is, believe that is maybe they don't have the skill level no more.
Skill.
You know, but they are some NBA players.
No, some of those NFL guys can actually
they
play
can play
ball pretty good.
But I'm just saying that's the only way. But as far as physicality, man, that bumping around under the boards, it is physical. And
but
like I said, basketball is a contact sport.
Yeah. But
football is a demolition derby.
Yeah,
it ain't even collision. That's something different.
It's a collision sport.
That's demolition.
Doing
derby.
100 miles.
Sometimes I think now, why in the heck? What was I doing that for? You know, but I loved it. I loved it. I loved that that physicality of the sport. So physical sports always drew me to it. That's why my favorite two sports that I did was boxing and football. I liked that. I love the physicality, the contact stuff,
contact sport.
But I'm telling you, when I got hit that first time,
you were like,
that wasn't contact. Yeah. That was something else.
Right.
I don't know what that was. I did not get the license plate number. I know that. That was something to believe. I'm telling you.
Right. And
I didn't know what the heck was going on.
When I would probably, just from a fan standpoint, like you could get into are NBA players better athletes than NFL players? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure they are. If it's like, it's kind of, because it's a different type of skill.
Yeah.
NBA is fast and quick, a lot of running.
Right.
Where football is obviously more contact and position on the field and not taking bad hits. And I think you just have a higher injury rate you do at the NFL than you do NBA. Granted, you have NBA players get hurt, but not like the NFL players. And the NFL careers are a lot less year-wise. 3.3 years for an NFL player?
Yeah,
I think I don't know what the average skip, but I know it's a hell of a lot higher in the NBA, but it's not even close. But the NFL, to me, when you watch and you see the size of these players and the way they hit, you're an NBA player. You play a physical game. Granted, they don't have equipment, but you have to understand. I think when you look at NFL, really the NFL is to tackle and hit and punish people. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Where the NBA is kind of get physical, but you really can't use that to more your advantage in the NBA because the referees will, you'll foul out. The NFL doesn't have that really per se. If you hit, not late hits, but you and not lead with the head, but the physicality of the game is so when you're banging bodies, you got a player, an athlete who's maybe 6'6" or 6'3", 220 to 240, fast 4'4", 4'5",
right,
coming at you. You catch a ball and he's leveling you, man.
He's leveling you.
That hit is unbelievable.
You're jarring your entire body.
Jarring your body, your head, your teeth. I mean, you feel that.
Yeah.
The NBA doesn't have hits like that.
Not like that.
Not like that.
You know, when I played at Youngstown East, I was taught by guys that really showed you how to tackle, form tackle, and know how to tackle. Okay, so you learn that. When I went to junior college, they expressed that a little bit more. Gave you some other ideas of how you can tackle. So when I went to Cheney State, we practiced on the same field as the Philadelphia Eagles. So we used to go and watch them. Wes Hopkins, who was an all-pro safety for the Philadelphia Eagles, came and talked to the defensive backs on hitting. He did show us form tackling. He said, but your objective is when you go to hit a guy, if he's at the 5-yard line, your objective is really to put him 5 yards into the end zone, which means 10 yards back.
Right.
So he said, you're not thinking of driving a guy. He said, you're thinking of exploding through his entire body.
Yeah.
We looked at him and said, this guy's a savage. He said, but that's how you got to play at this level.
Right.
He said, you're in college now. At this level, you got to do it. And if you want to go to the next level, it gets even more severe. So that's where I learned to hit people differently. Don't worry about my size. It's really about leverage.
Right.
And to use your strength a certain way. So what I did is in the off season, went with guys that were wrestlers to show me about leverage, show me about how to get a little bit lower than other guys. And that helped me so much on the football field against guys because of my size. They underestimated what I was going to bring to the dance when we came to meet. So that's what helped me when I played. Definitely did. But when guys tell you that they can just get off a basketball court and come and play football, you got to have a certain mentality. I even think about what's the tight end that played for the Chargers? They played at Kent State.
Gates.
Basketball.
Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates
said from high school he never lost the mentality of football. Why he played at Kent State in basketball. So when NC tournaments was over, he said he already knew he was going to the NFL because he already had the mentality to play football. He said because it's a different type of mentality. So he was able to flow in there. But you're going to tell me you're just going to take any NBA player and he can go over and play in the NFL? One day. That might be too long. I give him 1 hour. Soon as the equipment is on, he's taking it off. And that's why I like Charles Barkley.
Charles laughed.
Charles said he did
funny.
At Auburn.
Yeah.
He said that they kept begging him to get out of the field.
Right.
All them guys out there, Bo Jackson, everybody, get out there. He said he was out there 15 to 20 minutes. Yep. And he said some guy hit him. And he said Frank Thomas was playing too. Frank Thomas was playing on a tight end or something. I forgot. He said he got hit by them guys. He said he took his stuff off and left. And he was an Auburn All-American basketball player.
Player.
Big as he was. And Charles was big.
Charles, big guy.
Yeah, he said he wasn't playing that.
He was 260. When Charles played basketball, he was probably close to 250 in college. He had to slim down going to the NBA, and he talked about how Moses Malone pretty much saved his career. Told him, you got to lose weight. You can't play like this. Took him under his wing. And he said Malone really gave me a lot of great guidance. But
Austin Rivers is looking for something to do.
Yeah, Austin Rivers is just trying to stir people up, which he's done a great job, by the way. But James Jones obviously had some comments. We'll get to those. But
more than what he did?
Yeah, he had a few other get. But the whole point on it is it's such a different game from like I remember, again, I bring myself up just from a personal standpoint. I was like same height, 6 foot and about 115 pounds when I was in ninth grade.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, I went out. I always wanted to play football. So I went out ninth grade football. And I'll be honest with you. After the first day, I wanted to quit, but my father said, no, you have to stick it out. So I made the best of it. But I knew as soon as that season was over, I was done. I was done. Because I remember my father goes to me, so funny. The next summer rolls around. My father comes up, he goes, you're going to go out for football? So I was a sophomore. I said, no. He goes, you don't know. I don't want to go out. You don't know. I don't like it. I don't want to play it. I put up with it for a year and made the best of it. But I knew after 1 week.
It'll make you make a decision.
You hear the contact and the helmets hit and the slashing and people going down. And granted, this is at a low level.
Right.
But just that alone and hearing that impact and contact, I go, oh my God, this is insane. Now you take that up 500 degrees higher when you even get into college. And then, then you go, as you go up each level, it's unbelievable. But that's what Barkley kind of went through. He went out when he was at Auburn, 20 minutes on the field, he got slammed, and he goes, I'm a big guy, but I'm not buying into this. And I play a physical college. Charles Barkley was known for his physical play on the basketball court and a great player, Hall of Famer, great. But he knew
it's a different level.
Impact, different level altogether.
It's different.
It's totally different, and and that's what Charles laughed about. He says, you can't find 30 guys to get out on that field, take those hits.
Right.
Because they'll last all of probably like me. Charles thinking in the back of his head, most of the guys are probably like me. They play physical game, but you put me out on a football field. No, this is a whole different cup of coffee here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's no way that they want to take those hits. And I can't agree with him more. I said, they have no idea. They might be great athletes, but they don't want to get their bodies hit. And you look at these players now, we talk about it week in and week out, especially in the fall. The size of the players, the strength, the speed.
Yep. And that's why, I idolized certain guys that were small. They thought that couldn't do things. Like it was a safety. People remember he used to play for the Steelers, and he used to come down to certain camps when I was at Cheney State. Glenn Edwards.
Oh, Glenn Edwards,
yeah. Safety. He wasn't big at all.
No, he was the assassin,
but
man.
he would put something on you.
Oh.
And I would just listen to that guy, and then he said, watch these films. And he let me watch some films of Jack Lambert. He said, Jack Lambert was a little guy. I said, yeah,
he was. He wasn't.
I said, it was a guy that I went to my church, recently passed away, Alonzo Curry. They both played at Kent State together.
Curry played with Jack.
Yeah, they played together when they won that championship. I think they beat San Diego State. They beat somebody in a bowl game, but they went undefeated.
Right.
And I got to see Lambert. I said, man, that guy looked like a stick out there.
He was.
But man, was that guy leveling people.
Yeah, he was.
And he didn't really get bigger in the NFL. Just stayed that way. It's a mentality. You have to learn it. And once you get that mentality, sometimes you have to learn another thing people don't realize is you have to learn when to turn that thing off, because sometimes you take it off the field and little aggravational things, you just find yourself ready to destroy somebody off the field. You really have to learn how to tweak that stuff back because once you get out there and get hit a few times, if you're going to stick in this, you definitely got to have a different mentality to do it. And that's why people ask me today, look at the surgeries. You didn't have these surgeries now. Didn't have big injuries, but now the body, certain things happening. Would I do it again? Yep. Do it again. Wouldn't change a thing. You know, well, if I did change anything, it's probably learn the different things of how to take care of your body as you go. You know, because I felt good all the time, but my biggest mistake, Pat, is I think I got around 45 years old. And I used to play basketball, do all the flag leagues. I cut basketball out, didn't do that. Still kept lifting, played the flag leagues. Then I stopped that too. So when you stop doing all that moving and staying active that way, I was still lifting, still going on a treadmill, but that's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same thing of physical activity. And then that's when I seen things go the wrong way. So
yeah, that's when you said
so I need to get better now.
Started to fall apart a little bit.
Then I can come into the studio and tackle Jim.
Yeah, or Bob. Preferably Bob, but we either get Bob,
rather get Bob.
Gessler first,
Okay.
Jim second. if we're going to do this, just for entertainment purposes, no doubt. Bob's more toward your age. Jim's a young. You know what? Jim's younger.
Well, I think about, because now, Bob, I was just thinking, I think we played.
Right.
I know we played at the same time. If we're a year apart, I was playing for East.
Right.
He was at Cheney. Your brothers, we played for the city championship at South.
Right.
In a dog fight.
Oh, I bet.
Score. So
Yeah.
I forgot what the score was. Real low.
Right. Because
I don't know if it was like
everybody was just
12-6
beating on
or something like that. It was real
everybody was
low.
beating on everybody.
Oh, that was a physical football, high school football game. I remember that. I remember that real good.
Yeah. Jack Lambert, for the record, is 6'4", 220. And he was at...
And they probably was lying at the 220.
And they're lying.
That guy looked like he about 200.
But Lambert was just like I said, it was that mindset.
Yeah, his mindset was somewhere else.
He was just in another zone.
Yeah. That's why I liked him. I like another Jack, my favorite Jack, Tatum. That guy,
Jack Tatum.
People don't realize he was a linebacker too at Ohio State.
Jack Lambert was actually a running back and was recruited as a running back. And the story goes is this: Jack Tatum was spring whatever training or in practice wherever it was. I think he was a freshman, and they had Lou Holtz was the D coordinator at the time. And Tatum takes the ball on a sweep or whatever running play. He goes like 70 yards down the field. He just speed. Guys coming to whack him, hit him, and so he goes out of bounds. He doesn't take like the hit. He just kept, he goes out of bounds. It's practice. Woody Hayes goes ballistic. Woody runs over to him and says, "You don't run out of bounds. You take the hit." And Woody just explodes. And Tatum's looking at him like this guy's out of his mind. So then, evidently, they used to have this thing where they had the defensive coaches could pick a player to play defense, like they could draft certain. And then Tatum actually wanted to go to play D, and Holtz wanted him. So Lou Holtz goes to Woody, "I want to take Tatum. I want to draft him to be my defensive, like a linebacker corner," because he was so fast and big. And Woody goes, "Okay, you can have him because, he runs out of bounds." Like, yeah, okay, take him. But Tatum would have probably been a great running back had he stayed and done that position. But he was an unbelievable defensive player at Ohio State, then obviously with the Raiders, and went on obviously to the career that he had. Should be in the Hall of Fame, but probably
we know
why, because of the Darryl Stingley hit will keep him out.
That's what keep him out,
and that will keep him out. But that's the sad part of it. But Tatum was an unbelievable player that he could actually play, and he was actually he was recruited as a running back,
right?
And he was an unbelievable running back at Ohio State. It was just that he had a lot of competition. I mean, Archie was coming up, but he was before Archie. But Jack ended up going over to the defensive side of the ball, and he became, an obviously great defensive player.
I always, I go to the Hall of Fame every year. We do that when I go. But I always wonder, what's the criteria to being in the...
There is none.
No, there is none because, just like you said, Tatum, because he didn't apologize, because of this and that, you're not in there.
Well, supposedly he tried to apologize. There's all this stuff we really don't know.
Well, how about Matthews? How is not Clay Matthews?
How Clay Matthews is not in the Hall of Fame? See,
I don't understand that.
And why did it take Gradishar all those years to get in? He finally got in. Thank God he's alive. Thank God for Randy. Congratulations, Randy. I already congratulated him on my Facebook page. But Randy Gradishar should have been in the Hall of Fame way before now. But he finally got in, and I'm glad for Randy Gradishar, because that's the sad part. Like, some of these guys get in after they die, and it's just like, that's almost, why couldn't you get, like, it was Stabler got in, but he had already died.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they get Stabler in before that? You see, this is what this is what totally annoys me about, and I'm not a big awards person. And I don't really care about like statistics. Like, they get into these argument with basketball, the highest scorer in basketball. I don't pay attention to that. And you can't compare eras in basketball because the game is played differently now than it was back then. But the Hall of Fame and MVPs to me are a joke. I don't like the Hall of Fame. I mean, I like the players that get in, but there's so many other players that belong in that aren't getting in. Yeah. Like I said, the other guy that's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame is Albert Bell. And Albert Bell was always surly with the press, but if you look at Albert Bell's numbers, they're through the roof. Yeah. Albert Bell's statistics are unbelievable. When you look at Albert Bell's numbers, I mean, I hear Mad Dog Russo talk about it all the time. Albert Bell should have been like in the Hall of Fame years ago, and he's never getting in.
No, never getting in.
And he didn't do steroids. He wasn't a cheat.
And I'm not even against them guys.
And I'm not even going to go down that road.
If we use Barry Bonds and say, okay, he did steroids then, take that off. Take those years off. Is he still a Hall of Famer? He's still a Hall of Famer.
That's the sad part with Bonds.
He didn't have to do that to be a Hall of Famer. He's just a Hall of Famer, period.
I think Barry Bonds would have probably had 600 homers.
Yep.
Barry Bonds would have had a Hall of Fame career without the steroids.
Yes.
Not even close.
That guy was something different.
He was an unbelievable player. He belongs in and around, I know, but Clemens is the same way.
Same thing. I mean, come on.
Those guys should get in. They won't.
Yeah. And what's the pitcher he's always crying about they shouldn't get in? Used to pitch for the Phillies and everybody else. Well-known pitcher. Oh, I can't think of his name. I can't think of the guy.
Was he did he
I mean,
when did he play?
I mean, he probably played at least maybe. Well, it's probably been 10 years.
And he's not in the Hall of Fame?
No, he is. He always saying Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, they shouldn't get in.
Was it Steve Carlton?
No, it wasn't Steve Carlton. Controversial guy too. I can't think of his name.
All right, we're gonna have to.
We have to dig that out.
Yeah, we'll dig that one out.
But
with you get into this Hall of Fame minutia discussion, and there's some guys that belong in, some guys are never getting in. Albert Bell with his numbers, you brought up Clay Matthews. Albert Bell's numbers are through the roof.
I'm telling you,
Clay Matthews
and Chip Banks was one of the best outside linebacker duels ever.
What they do,
don't talk about that ever.
They go to see, this is the problem I kind of have with this too. They talk about, he was an all-pro. He didn't have so many all-pros. But I said, yeah, but the problem you have with that is there may be they may play in a time where there's great linebackers around them. So they may not get that all-pro because there's so many great linebackers around them. That means they're still a great player. They just can't get in because of the talent of the other players around them.
Yep, absolutely.
Saturday Morning Sports Page, fourth quarter coming up. Saturday Morning Sports Page on Sports.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in. and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
The game is over, but this time, instead of asking how many goals did you score or what were your stats, try asking these questions. Were you a good teammate? Were you coachable? Did you give 100%? And did you have fun? Because those are the values that school sports instill in Ohio's young people, where winning and losing are secondary to the life lessons that will stay with kids long after their playing days are over. This is the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Educate through sports.
Saturday morning sports page on Western Reserve Radio, 330-707-4202. Get in, talk sports. You know, we were talking a lot about like Hall of Fame, who belongs in, who belongs out, who knows. I know there's a lot of players out there that you shake your head and wonder why they're not in. Got into the discussion a little bit about like Clay Matthews isn't in. Somebody said, well, he hasn't been in enough Pro Bowls, but when you look at that, sometimes that can be very questionable as far as who's getting in and getting out. MVPs like the Joker won the MVP in the NBA. Okay. I mean, I don't care. I just don't pay attention to the MVP award. Michael Jordan has 3 MVPs? We all know Michael Jordan was the best player in the league for how many years?
Probably all of them.
Right.
Just about every single one, probably.
They get, with that, awards. You know, awards to me always are questionable at best.
Yeah.
You don't care. The average fan, I mean, I'll go out on a limb. I don't think the average fan cares. They just want to see their team win or lose.
Yeah.
Like I'm a Giant fan. I don't really particularly care how many All-Pro guys they get on that team. I just want them to win in the playoffs and go to a Super Bowl. Right. How many All-Pros they have, that's the writers or whoever's voting that in.
And that's what it is.
And that's what it is. Right.
That, they haven't even played.
And they haven't played. It's sometimes Albert Bell's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame because he was not likable and he wasn't good with the writers. He was surly. Mm-hmm. He was not a nice guy, but he was a great hitter and belongs in the Hall of Fame.
That's why they didn't want to put Terrell Owens in for so long, because he wasn't
because T.O. was kind of a hot dog and a very me kind of guy, and all these reasons. But
all you do is just turn on the tape and you tell me if that's not a Hall of Fame player. That guy was unbelievable.
He was a great player in the lines. He never took a play off. He blocked. He played hard. I watched T.O. One criticism of Randy Moss is that he took plays off.
Yeah.
He didn't want to get T.O. never did that.
No.
One thing I get, and T.O. played the Super Bowl on a broken leg.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. And he played good.
Yeah, real good.
Really
great stats.
Had great stats in the Super Bowl that they lost to New England.
Yep.
But T.O. had a great game. So, I know outside the lines, T.O. was always, saying the wrong things about the team and the quarterback sometimes, although he cried about Tony Romo. He loved Tony Romo, T.O. did.
Yeah.
Who knows? But the point is, all that crap aside, in the lines on the field, T.O. was a great wide receiver.
Yeah. But that's how they look at things. So I just, go up there and it's like you said, I go to it. It's good to see these guys get in, but I just always said there's no real criteria.
No,
they put in
there's
who
none.
they want and who they don't want in there. You're not getting in.
And then some of the guys, they're great players, like you said, Gradishaw, and they get voted in, and Stabler same way.
Yeah.
And they should have been voted in way before when they did. I'm just glad that they got in.
Yeah. Last year, Ken Riley goes in for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
The thing I look at, and then you can't do it because it's too hard to do, but they say every, 5 years. So after a 5-year period, a guy doesn't go in. So 25 years down the road, now he becomes a Hall of Famer. Why wasn't he a Hall of Famer way back 25 years ago? But I understand they said that you'll be putting 50, 60 guys in at one time. Well, you need to have a real established criteria. And if they don't meet all those certain standards, or you have a number system that they don't meet, then they're not a Hall of Famer. Something, other than that, put these guys in. Yeah. Just put them in.
Just put them in. And they just don't. And I don't
care if you got to have different 4 ceremonies per year. Put guys in that should be in, because it just doesn't make any sense.
And I don't think they're ever going to happen.
They'll never do that. They'll leave it the way it is. Yeah. It's just when I look at things, it's just crazy. When I think about certain guys, somebody was bringing up Chris Johnson. You remember him? Was the Tennessee running back,
right?
And if you look at his career, all the 1,000, I think he had like 6 consecutive or 7 consecutive 1,000 yards plus a 2,000 yard season. Right. And they said, well, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Well, okay. If you say that, is my guy that I like, Curtis Martin, is in the Hall of Fame. You cannot tell me from my eye test that Chris Johnson is every bit as good as Curtis Martin, if not better, because of his elite speed. He could turn a game over in a matter of seconds. But he's not in there. And that's not taken because I like Curtis Martin. But I'm just saying, how do the guys like that they're just out there? Probably never will get a sniff of it. They won't see it.
No, like you say, you'll have players, great players, that will not get in.
Yeah, they will. I think won't get in. And if you look at his numbers, they're great. Ochocinco.
No, he won't.
No,
Chad Johnson.
Chad Johnson was a great wide receiver.
He was.
He's not getting there.
No. Well,
unless they wait until, like you said, when the guys
usually when the guy dies, and then they somehow trickle in later on. Yeah. But when you break, realistically, that's the only the problem with the Hall. And then the other problem you always have with the Hall of Fame, especially baseball, they put like guys in that are really not supposed to be in. Then that creates the old, well, if they're in, why aren't all these guys in?
Yeah.
Like, I know when Harold Baines got in, they were like upset because it was, Tony Russo knew somebody, swayed the voters. Baines is a good player, but not a Hall of Famer in a lot of people's eyes, but he got in. Mm-hmm. Then people are saying, well, wait a minute. If you stick Harold Baines, why aren't you sticking in like Don Mattingly, Thurman Munson, the other fans from the other teams? Why aren't you putting all these other guys in? You can make a debate. Well, Mattingly didn't play long enough. Either, unfortunately, Munson had that tragic plane accident.
Right.
He was 13 years. He didn't play long enough maybe to get in. He might have gone in had he played. Mattingly's back blew out on him, and he just didn't get the numbers. But he had great numbers when he played. So they're always getting into these conversations about length of the career and whether or not they belong in or not. And you get in again, but then they get people in that really don't belong in, and then again you open up this door. These other guys should be in if they're getting in.
Well, it's just like. My personal O.J. Simpson's probably my personal, but this guy was my first personal running back that I thought was the greatest thing I ever seen in my life. But he's in the Hall of Fame, but why? And that's Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers' statistics, first he didn't play long enough.
No, he did
his statistics do not add up to a Hall of Fame player. Now, when he did play, is that a Hall of Fame player on the football field? There's no question about it. I have never seen a guy to this day. I mean, you could talk about Barry Sanders, not what that guy used to do, Gale Sayers, on the worst fields in football history, run, cut on a dime, and don't even slip. I ain't never seen nobody with the type of balance that guy had in my life. But I even say it, this is one of my favorite guys ever. But when you add up the Hall of Fame, that doesn't make sense.
No, I mean,
but at the time they did it, they probably looked at him, that's a great player, so he's in. But it doesn't really add up to Hall of Fame credential stuff. I think he might have about 6,000 yards rushing, if that.
He basically, for the numbers, I've just pulled up Sayers' numbers. His career numbers in the NFL, he only played in 68 games. 14-game season. 68 games, divide 14, 68. What is that? That's almost what?
Not even 5 years.
Right. He only played 68 games. He had 991 attempts. But he had 4,956 yards rushing. He didn't have 5,000 yards. He had 39 touchdowns, but he averaged 5 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. And when you look at his numbers, he had 2 years that he had 1,000 yards in 66 and in 69.
Mm-hmm.
He had 1,032 in 69. But then after that, he really didn't play. In 1970, he only had 52 yards, and in 71, he had 13 yards. So you almost say, for the sake of this discussion, he played realistically 6 years. He played from 65 to 69. That were his years he played. And
70 and 71 was just like washouts.
They were washout, and he was 27 in 1970 and 28 and that because he had the knee injury that ended his career. He came back from that knee injury and had okay numbers. In 1967, he had 880 yards. In 68, he had 856 yards. And then in 1969, he had 1,032. Once the Bears put in the AstroTurf, he was done. He couldn't run on AstroTurf because his knee was shot.
Mm-hmm.
But his problem was more knee injury. Had he had today's technology,
he'd been playing and running like crazy.
He would have done. And that's the same thing. You could make an argument with a lot of players.
Well, OJ wouldn't have went out when he did.
No.
If they had the technology back then. Because he was at the height of his career. He's steady. The selling going up, even though he's like 30, he was still steady going up. And that guy would have been still going, the numbers would have been
he could have got better. Right. He would have probably a little bit better numbers. But OJ had a better career than Sayers did.
Way better.
Way better.
I mean, he played 12 seasons maybe?
Yeah.
He was at least something like that. And it was only
and for 6 years, OJ Simpson was by far the best running back in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, there's no question.
I mean, he had those years there that were just through the roof, OJ.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know what he did was horrendous. It was just, but when we're looking strictly at his statistics, he had an unbelievable career, especially when you take his from 1972 to 1976, he had 5 years where he was well over 1,000 yards. And what people don't kind of realize, and then when he hit 30, his last year in Buffalo, he only had 557 yards, but he only played 7 games because of the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he struggled, but he still had 500 yards the following year in San Francisco, and then his last year was 460. But OJ, for basically 5 seasons, was absolutely through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, he had the 2,003 yards in 1973. He had 1,125 in 74, but in 75, he had 1,817 yards.
Yep.
And the following year after that, he had 1,503 yards. OJ's numbers are just unbelievably through the chart. Sayers had really 2 great seasons, and that was really about it. He had good seasons. The other were good seasons, but he had 2 great seasons, barely, and he had over 1,000 people. Getting over 1,000 yards in 14 games was a tough thing to do back then.
Yeah, back then.
People kind of don't realize the game was totally
different.
A different game.
They didn't throw the ball all over the field, so you knew they were running.
Right.
So you can gear your defense to stop the run. And when you couldn't stop a guy, that lets you know how great they was because you knew they were running the football.
That goes to show you how really good OJ was, man.
Yeah, because Ferguson wasn't bad as a quarterback, but they didn't throw the ball a lot.
No, they did not.
And they had some decent. They had J.D. Hill. They had a couple of guys that were decent wide receivers, but that's not what they did. They ran the football, and you knew they were running.
They ran the
football, couldn't stop.
And you couldn't, and that's it.
You know, I still remember that game in Pittsburgh. That always gets me because they geared their defense. They put so many men in the box to stop him, and he just ran all over Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah,
it's just. You know, that's back to the Steel Curtain days. That's when they with the Joe Green. That was with all those guys. Ran all over them.
And great, he had a great line
too. Yep,
right. But that goes to show you, when you talk about great running backs.
Yep,
I always say Jim Brown 1, OJ 2.
Yeah, I mean,
because Jim Brown was still the best. He's still the best football player ever in my eyes.
Yeah.
Jim Brown is.
Yeah.
I know, but I know Barry Sanders.
Was
you get into the discussion, you get into different errors.
But they're different type of guys,
right?
But
Sanders didn't have the greatest line.
Not at all.
He made everything happen himself. The team
unbelievable how he could run too. It's just all different styles. It's just it's crazy how good these guys was back then.
Yeah, it was,
and not to see the featured running back today.
Well,
now it's kind of hard.
Now it's diminished. Now the running back position in the NFL is realistically done by committee, and they usually get after their first contract. They really don't give the running backs a lot of money because they just draft,
get
the rookies, and like Giants with Saquon Barkley, they didn't want to give him the contract he wanted. Philadelphia did. So it's a good contract, but they're not getting the wide receiver.
Not as high as it would be.
They're not getting the money that the quarterbacks get, and then the wide receivers get.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. Did you watch any of the Brady roast? I know we're going off a little bit.
Caught a little bit. I didn't get. I want to see it because I still have it on demand. That I can see it.
Yeah,
but. It
was. I saw the second and third hour. I didn't know it was on. I got the second and third. I know the first hour. They really took his relationship with his wife to a different level. I read about it.
Yeah.
Mad Dog Russo did not find it funny at all, and he thought it was just terrible. He doesn't know why Brady would do that at all. Like, why do you need to do that? You're Tom Brady. Why would you put yourself through that? Why would you subject your children to that? And that, put your wife through the whole thing with her relationship with her instructor and Kevin. See, Kevin Hart, a lot of the F bombs flying.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Hart's that funny.
Right.
And so he's okay. He's not Chappelle or he's not Chris Rock on any level. Like, I think David Chappelle and Chris Rock are just absolutely, they're funny. I mean, I guess it just comes down to an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought some of it was okay. Some of it was some funny. But it was, there's a lot of profanity throughout laced. So if you don't want to subject, maybe your spouse might be taken back by that, or your daughter, or your family, they may not want to watch it. It's up to you, but it's a lot of profanity throughout the
show, the whole thing. Yeah.
A lot of profanity.
Right. Yeah.
So I would leave it at that. I thought some parts were funny. The one part they did bring out, and I didn't see it. The one comedian came out with a bloody OJ jersey, which, I don't think that's funny.
No, that's
not. And the fact that, you still have the victim, the Goldman lost his son.
Yeah.
And then obviously, OJ's wife has died, and then it's her children and everything.
And after he died, they did a couple shows. They still think, and to this day, I still think too, did he do all that by himself?
Well,
one guy says Kato Kalin was so sleazy. If OJ did that, he was with him. I was laughing.
I don't know. I read an article about it, and allegedly, one theory is that he actually hired people to do it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And OJ was there at the scene when they did it.
Uh-huh.
That's why the glove didn't fit him, because it was actually one of the people he hired did the murder.
Yeah.
And then in this article, it just said that the people he hired came out and said this is the first time that the person who hired them wanted to be there at the murder scene. That's what one theory is.
Yeah.
I don't know where you want to go with it.
And then the other part, did you see that she had her, what was he? He was a guy that did work for them.
Right.
But he was that serial killer.
I didn't hear this one.
You look it up. You see.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, I forgot the guy's. I think his last name was Rogers or something like that. But he was a serial killer.
So there was a potential there.
Because after that, I think the next year he had killed like 4 different women.
Wow.
In one area close to there. And then after that, some part of Arizona, then they finally caught him.
And they got him.
And then when they linked his name up, they said, hey, he used to be their houseboy.
Could he be potentially a suspect there?
So, I still always thought he had something to do with it, but I said, he's not that dumb to try to do that himself. Plus, is he physically able to jump down
some of
do that? He couldn't do some of them things. That's why I said, no way by himself. No way.
So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. You bring up interesting discussion. Like I said, I read this thing about supposedly the hitmen that he had.
Yeah.
Did it. He was there. That's why the glove didn't fit, because he didn't actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all this discussion. Then you brought up this thing about the previous person doing work had a history.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's all kinds
of crazy stuff, and it was many, many years ago. Now it's 30 years.
Yeah, and they did really people look at it, the L.A. Police Department is the real problem, because they tried to force it to make sure it was OJ by doing things they didn't need to do.
Well, the always debate you always get into, right? And that's right. You never know, right? And that's just some of the criticisms. And if you read books, is once the law enforcement and DA have their mind made up who did it, they get, one of the criticism is they have tunnel vision and they don't look at other
things around this,
other cases where it may not be that person, because they've got their mind set it's them.
Yeah.
And you've seen these things historically on TV where people are innocent
and then get out
because of either the tainted the evidence, there's a DNA issue, or the DA or the law enforcement just ignored other leads that could have got to the real person that did the crime. So there's all that in there. And it's like I said, I've read, John Grisham's got this great book out, and it's about death penalty and people on death row that are innocent. And it's a scary book to read. It's a nonfiction book. Grisham writes fiction.
Yeah.
And this was a nonfiction book he read. It's scary, but it also addresses things like, had to do with these, folks, these criminals that were alleged criminals that were on the death row that were innocent. And it was because the DA had their mind made up they were the one, and they ignored other evidence. And actually, one guy got off, and they got him out. And then he unfortunately died of cancer like a year later.
Wow.
But it's not to go off the proverbial rails here.
But I know what you're saying.
It's just, there's no perfect system out there. And the reality is, unfortunately, there are mistakes being made.
Yeah.
And those mistakes are bad mistakes to make when you have someone's life on the line. So it's scary. But going back, I know that's what OJ kind of took us into that, opened up that door, and we went down there. We'll come back. Let's get back. We talked about the Hall of Fame. We talked about the NBA coaching carousel. Or throw out your coach. They're disposable.
Yeah, that's what you should forget about carousel.
No, it's called.
I like it disposable.
Yeah,
I like
it's the
that one
disposable.
Yeah, I like disposable coach. I like that better.
I did want to throw this out. I always listen to the countdown, 70s countdown on, and I want to let you know that one of our favorite groups on this show are the OJs.
Yeah.
One of my favorite groups. I love the OJs.
Right.
They're from Canton, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, they did the Backstabbers. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot about this song that was on today. For the Love of Money.
Oh, yeah.
From 1974.
Yep.
It was in the countdown. I thought, man, the OJs hit the nail on the head. For the Love of Money. They should play that in the NFLs. They should play that in all of the sports arenas.
All of them.
All of them. They should play For the Love of Money in every NFL and NBA and MLB baseball park. For the love of money. Because that's what it all counts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The OJs had the Backstabbers, which was a great song. We talked about that song. And For the Love of Money, which was today.
Yeah. And it fits right into the day.
Right.
Because I look at some of these teams, they're in cap hell.
Yeah.
So how about Steph Curry saying, you know what? Tear my contract up. I got big money and I've got endorsements out the kazoo. I don't want $59 million. Just give me $29 million so we can bring in some other talent here.
And that's what I mean.
They don't do it. They're not doing that.
No, and that's what the whole thing, when we break down the whole money thing in the NFL and in all sports. Like now, Brady did that.
Yeah, he did it before.
He used to do it every year on a regular basis, take less money, but none of the other guys do. Like NBA guys,
Yeah.
Like you say, all these NBA guys, they sign those max deals.
And when we look at Michael Jordan being a billionaire, he really made his money after.
Yeah, he did.
Because during his career,
no, he never
asked for more, nothing.
No,
he kept it at a minimum till the end. They tried to pay him.
They made up. But all the years he won those titles, he was not making the big sick money. He was like $3 million. He didn't care, but he was making it all on his shoes. He made it all on the Jordans, but he didn't care because he knew where the money was coming from. But you're right.
Yeah.
Jordan was a kind of the rare one that
these guys need to though.
I think to some extent, but like
you get the players you need then.
Look at LeBron making. If they sign him to a max deal, it'll be $60-some million a year. They'll be in cap hell in LA. They can't go out and get another really good player. I mean, they got Davis and LeBron eating up over 50% of the salary.
That's why these guys should just. I mean, they got money out there because
right.
They got great endorsements.
Right. 20 million, 40 million. I mean, okay, well, how many million do you need?
You're right. I mean, just go ahead and take and say, hey, I want KD in here. And then get them all in there.
Yeah.
With them.
Right. If KD and LeBron, if they all took less money,
he can fit right in.
Have your all-star team.
Yep.
But they still want that max money.
Yeah.
I mean,
the last time LeBron did it, and they all did it, is in the first year of Miami.
They all took that 16. They all took the same amount.
Yep.
And Riley was able to put the team around them. That's it.
Yep.
Everybody have a safe week. Do not drink and do not drive. Buckle up. Stay safe. Saturday morning sports page on Western Reserve Radio.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Stormy Bonatoni, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The NBA playoffs are heating up, and so is the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use